case anyone's curious about African, African, for all intents and purposes, looks a lot like Dutch, but what makes African such a silly language is that it is essentially Dutch for dumb people. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Where are the ends? Although this is a little too formal. Look at this. African, the language for the lazy Dutchman. Anyway. The lazy Dutchman... Oh yeah, we were flying, weren't we? Well, I guess I have to pay the price. Boop! Anyway, how you guys all doing? The real question, how was that guy doing? I think he was doing just Spasmatron McBoogerballs. Oh, it's a zombie. I thought it was an Enderman. And I will say, what? Logically, since Endermen aren't supposed to burn up in sunlight. You know what's really ticking me off always is this sense of, what's it called? There's a term for it, but I just can't bring it up right away. To take something for granted. Deservitude? That'd be too radical. Yeah, deservitude is too radical. I am frowning most deep. Most deep indeed. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is a lot of people. This is something that I notice a lot is reviews in video games are a very strange, nebulous concept. In that nobody understands what the review's supposed to be except the reviewers themselves, and they're like, well, that's not what they're expecting, so I might as well just adjust what I'm actually making for them. Reviews are not objective analysis. Is not an objective analysis of a product or item. To get that out of the way, just real quick, is that a reviewer is in no way obliged to satisfy your need to know objectively if something is better or worse. The problem with medium like games, radio programs, and movies is that while there are a few, quantifiable or qualifiable attributes you can sink in, like are the controls sensible? Is the music any good? Like, does it fit the scene? Is there a consistency? You really can't say that a game is good or bad. You can say that the game works, as in the elements click together, and there's a style going on, and there's cohesion between all the gameplay elements, and there's no ludonarrative dissonance going on, but you can't say a game is good or bad. People give Grand Theft Auto a 10 out of 10. The people that do 10 out of 10 typically do this ridiculous system where they're like, we're gonna look at all the quality. GTA 5 has a retarded story and deserves a, let's see, that's gonna be an 8 because it doesn't deserve a 10 for story because it's a ridiculous story. Quick thing, there is a difference between story and writing. Story is the overall concept slash narrative that is going on. Writing is how you put that down on paper. You can have an amazing story, but you can be a terrible writer and it all comes out wrong. Let's go on. I'd like to have this a line of ascending complexity in media, which means simply that as you go, you have a story, which is like people tell you a story, and then it's all comes down to them just telling a story. Then you have books where the writing of a particular story is important. You can put images in people's heads because you're no longer limited by your voice, so it's not important to just get the crucial points of the story across. You're trying to tell something interesting, so you write all these fancy words and metaphors and you put in these interesting characters because you could do that with a book because it's much easier to plot things out. And then you get radio shows where suddenly you can input audio as a means of transferring what you're trying to convey. So you can have like spooky sounds in the background, you can have characters talking and breathing emotion with every step they take. Then comes the movie, which essentially inserts moving images, which is the next step of complexity. With the use of visuals, we can see, and we no longer have to imagine the visualization of what is happening. And as you notice, every step we take, there is a certain vagueness cleared up in the process as to how something is done. As in, the first step from story to writing informs us as to basically details that would normally be skimmed because of limitations of the writer or something. The next step to radio permits us a greater insight into the sounds and emotions and feeling and clears up that ambiguousness. Then comes movies, which essentially let us see the environment. Video games help us experience it because they put us in the seat. They let us experience the events and things firsthand. It takes away the middleman of having a good movie writer by just putting in good gameplay elements. So, if anything, a game's primary selling factor is the fact that you can do something in it. Mind you, I'm perfectly fine with games that are just gameplay. If your game has fantastic gameplay, that's great. That's really all you need. If you have great graphics, you should be a movie. If you have great music, you should be a CD-ROM that someone puts in their music player. If you have great writing, you're a book, unless you're a visual novel. Thing is, I'm not saying this one particular kind of game that works. Jimquisition said it best, who quoted someone else, "There is no perfect pasta sauce, there are perfect pasta sauces. You can make a game any way you like." I'm just talking about the fact that there are many ways to qualify a game as being good or bad. But there's one problem. A game can never truly be good or bad in the eyes of objectivity. Because like I said, the only thing you can really objectively qualify a game on is, does it work? You can have 8-bit graphics that look like ass, but if it matches the elements, like Retardio, the Squeakquel, it's terrible, but whole elements just match what it's trying to convey, which is a bullshit game. Naturally, you have bullshit graphics and bullshit music. Good controls, but I guess that, as I said, you need to be good in gameplay to make up for it. Like, the one thing you can't do with a game is have terrible gameplay. If you're a visual novel, then at least make it easy to, read the novel. If you're just a music listener, then at least make the UI good. At least make the control method accessible. That's the one thing games have to comply to. By the way, Beyond Two Souls is not a game. That I consider a narrative experience, which is good, because that's what that other game is. The Stanley Parable is also a narrative interactive experience. It's not a game. You're not doing anything. You're just experiencing something, and it can be so enlightening and deepening, and it can give you so much insight that just a regular game can't, because regular games are just games. But let me just go on before I hit off on a tangent that nobody gives a fuck about. My point is, you cannot objectively quantify an entire game as being objectively good or bad. Because there's no way to... How do you do that? Can you say that maths are good or bad? Well, you can say that the mathematics are correct, but you can't say they're good or bad. Because either they're right or they're not. Let's take a step beyond that. Can you say a certain music piece is good or bad? Again, you might not like Metallica, but if you put it through a machine that looks at the harmonics, it'll say it kinda checks out. And that's where we enter the nebulous realm of opinions. The problem is, gamers are spending a big smack of cash on a video game. Here's the thing. You're not just spending a big smack of cash on a game these days. You're spending a lot of time. When you go to a movie, you'll spend a couple of hours. If you listen to a radio show, you'll probably do something else, or you can take a break. But video games are not a passive experience. They're transformative. As you play a game, your experience changes. So it's even less possible to say it's good or bad, because everyone will have a different experience. Maybe you just had a really bad play. And then comes another bigger issue. By the way, I didn't prepare anything, so I might just forget my tangent. Another bigger issue. Where was I going? Tangents. No, not the tangent part. There's a bleepy bloop going outside that is really distracting me. I was talking about experiences, how they vary. You see... God, I'm gonna listen to the material, sorry. Okay, video games are not a passive experience, that's where I was at. Here's the thing with a passive experience. if you read a book, you're reading a book. You're not doing anything to make the book happen. The book already happened, you're just retelling it. Same with a radio program. It's already happened, you're just listening to it. But video games are an active experience. There's a lot of active brain power devoted to doing the video game. I'm gonna turn off this fucking thing. And the reason that people are so super, like, we want an objective review on if this is good or bad, is they don't want to spend hours of their time, which is understandable, playing a bad game. They want to know from the get-go, is this good or bad? You can't say that. If you're an actual critic, you're a reviewer, you're a person who went to the movies, what you'll end your review with is, I can't recommend this personally. If you just want to have a good, fun time, don't buy this, because it's fucking shit. However, if this happens to fall in your particular taste, there's nothing I can say to stop you. The thing is that a lot of video games reviewers are like, I am the word of the law. I decide this game is awful and none shall ever play. You're a fucking terrible reviewer. Go fucking kill yourself. You're not a critic either. You see, the problem with game reviews is the best you can do is say, oh man, too much talking. The best you can say is, I didn't like this game, but here's the thing. I'm not the target audience. The reason I didn't like Dora the Explorer is because I'm not 3 years old. But if you are 3 years old, you might give it a shot. If you like Dora, give it a shot. You'll love it. It's perfect for the Dora fans out there. And that's what a real reviewer should end his review with. A real critic ends his criticism with is, this is my opinion, but if you're the audience that they seem to be targeting, in my opinion, then go for it. So you end with like a terrible game. It's like, it's awful. The controls don't work, the music's just disastrously compressed, and everything about it is absolute bullshit. Like, it obviously overcharges for the quality, for the experience that it is delivering. They are like, you know what? I would recommend this, but only to people who want to play a game that's absolute shit, or people that are looking to waste time of their life. You still can't say nobody should play this. Even Alien Colonial Marines, you gotta say, if you're a developer looking to see how you can do things wrong, this is a great way to make sure you're not gonna make a disaster. Like, a game, there is no way to say that no one will want to play that game. There is no way to say that. You cannot verifiably state that no one will want to see this movie. If you can, fuck you, because there's 7 billion people in this world, there's a whole smack of sociopaths that like slicing people up for no reason. There's no way you can speak for everyone out there. So don't make an objective review. Just end it with, this is my opinion, I'm an imperfect human shit, so if you disagree, disagree all you like, and play it yourself, form your own opinion. And if you wasted your money and you felt like you didn't got what you wanted worth, then don't blame me. I just gave my opinion, and you were being a jackass about it. Ugh. We've been playing a whole Minecraft day already, wow. That's what you get when I get in a good rant. So anyway, the summary, if you're like, oh man, too long, didn't listen. You can't objectively review a game, so don't ask for it. The best you can do is analyze and see what the audience is, and then say, does it work out? Do the elements click together? Is this a complete puzzle, or is some experience portion missing? At the end, was it a satisfying experience, or was I left empty or hungering for the sequel? Like, I can't even say there's a specific way to write a review, because it's such an open, do-it-yourself experience. You can't really format it. You can format the technical specs, but you can't make a format that fits every game. You can't review Doom the way you review COD, even if they're so closely related. They're both first-person shooters, but first-person shooter isn't a genre. It's a way of handling your fucking camera. And that's what bothers me, is that everyone's like, it's not a genre. It's the way that it's a way you put together your game. It's not how you design the game to be. A first-person... Outlast is technically a first-person game, but it's not fucking COD or Doom. So why are you comparing it? Terraria is a Minecraft. It's a 2D game. You can have similar experiences, or you can have them completely different. It depends on the game itself. Just like with movies, it can be a horror movie, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's super spooky. Maybe it's horror because it asks you a question about mortality. Because deep down, you'll be like, holy fucking shit, I'm gonna cry myself to sleep because of that revelation I just got. So please, for the love of God, if you're one of those pretentious video game reviewers who thinks he is the voice of God, kick yourself in the nuts, realize you're a human being, and that everything you're putting down on that piece of paper is a combination of technical specs that can be verified and your fucking opinion, or just die because you're not helping us. The video game industry is new. It's too new. People are making rash assumptions, and it's really going down the shitter. Fix it. Think about it. Give it some reasonable thought instead of being a pretentious dickhole who thinks he knows everything. Because you don't. I don't. I'm just saying things that I feel are what should be done because they sort of make more sense than what you're doing right now. It might not be the answer, but it's a lot closer to what makes sense and what is logical and what is ultimately going to be the answer than what you're ever going to portray with games are like a car engine. Either they work, even car engines. Not everyone wants a Formula 1 dragster engine in the back. Some people want a dependable engine that takes a long time to wear down. Jesus. Sorry, but I get so pissed off when I see people crying, oh, he didn't give it a 10. What if it matters? Maybe he didn't like the game. If you give GTA 5 a 1 out of 10 and you really didn't like it, kudos to fucking you. You didn't get dragged along with everyone's experiences being like, you're a reviewer. Give it the grade you think it deserves. Don't give it the grade you were oh, you should do it if you were paid to do it because you're contractually obliged to do so. But if you're like just playing it and you don't like it, then don't like it. I don't hide my opinion. When I write a review, I say graphics works out, music checks out, overall cohesion checks out. Would I recommend it? Yeah, sure, go give it a shot. Or maybe I'll say, no, but if you're in the audience for it, I would never write a review, in all sincerity, where I will say this game is absolute fucking shit, unless it's absolute fucking shit. And I can tell you that 99% of the people are going to be like, yeah, this is kind of shit. But even then, I'd say, maybe you like shit. Maybe you're a corpophiliac, you should give it a shot. Like, I cannot reasonably say in my review that this is what the game is, other than the senses of cohesion and the qualifiable attributes as such. I am going to eat some chocolate-covered Oreos because this is giving me a headache and my mouth is parched as balls. But, to make the mood slightly better, let us have pirate speak, call it spellcasting. Oh, that what is it called? Apostrophe. Oh, my throat!